You ever wonder why a guy can sit in total silence, stare at absolutely nothing, and feel fantastic about it? Meanwhile, she's beside him, talking, wondering why he's not answering, and 5 minutes later, boom, he's being quizzed on the last sentence she said, and he's got no idea what it was? It's not that we don't care. It's that we're wired completely differently. Stress, love, talking, silence. Heck, even driving a car means something entirely different depending on what hormones you've got flowing through your system. This isn't just about men and women, it's about testosterone, oxytocin, and why understanding the difference can save your relationship, your sanity, and maybe even your transmission. How driving fast, talking less, and listening wrong can break you, or make you. Ever wonder why women get tired? I mean really tired, not just, I need a nap. Tired, but soul deep worn out. Now, here's the kicker. The female body is actually twice as resilient as the male body. Yup. You heard me right. Even NASA backed this up. When they sent both men and women into space, something wild happened. The guys had to be carried out of the capsule like overcooked noodles. The women? They rolled themselves out like they just came back from a yoga retreat. Bruised, sure, but still standing. No muscle meltdown. No physical collapse. None of that. Their bodies held up. Meanwhile, the guys? They looked like expired spaghetti. And here's the thing, men lose it fast. I'm talking real quick. Let a guy stop working out for a couple of months, and suddenly he's got a belly that could smuggle a six-pack of beer, not abs. 1 week he's a gym rat. Next week he's huffing walking to the fridge. I knew a guy once, used to be an athlete. He skips 3 months, tries to show off by jumping on a pull-up bar, and snap, the bar gives up on him. He fixes it, tries again, and boom, same result. At some point, even the pull-up bar's like, nah, bro. That's what happens when a man relaxes. One little nap too long, and he's sliding downhill in slow motion. You want to know how a man ends up degraded? Easy. He stops pushing. He stops climbing. And boom, he's in the sofa philosopher phase of life, giving TED Talks from his couch about the good old days. See, a man's life is one long uphill climb. He doesn't get an escalator. No elevator. He gets stairs, and half of them are broken. The moment he stops, gravity kicks in. And gravity, my friend, has no chill. Now women, they're different. A good, decent woman? She's got her own setup. While we're out here playing American Ninja Warrior, just to stay relevant, she's cruising up her elevator of resilience. She's built for endurance. She's not burning out like we are. And sure, on paper, we've got more muscle. The average man has about 30% more muscle mass than the average woman. We're not talking bodybuilders here. We're talking regular folks. But here's the twist. More muscle doesn't mean better performance. It means more maintenance. Muscles break down faster. They need more rest. It's like owning a Ferrari. You look cool, but you're in the shop twice a month and gas costs a fortune. And let's not kid ourselves. A lot of what makes the female form so beautiful, it ain't muscle. It's curves. It's softness. It's nature's design. That's the point. Nobody's asking women to deadlift a Buick. But if we're talking raw, brute force, yeah, most guys are stronger. I mean, not to brag, but I could probably take down half the dudes in a room with my eyes closed, unless one of them's built like a linebacker or walks like he just got out of the UFC octagon. Then I'm walking away with respect and maybe an ice pack. But ladies, make no mistake, if you're not an Olympic champion in something involving fists or flips, I don't care how sassy you are. I swing, you're watching cartoons in your head. Not because I'm mean, but because physics is not on your side. Still, here's where it gets interesting. Our muscles may be stronger, but they come with a catch. They take forever to recover. You tear down a muscle, and it's like, hey buddy, I'll see you next week, maybe. Ask any bodybuilder. The golden rule? You hit it for an hour, then rest it for 4 days. That's the deal. You can't just grind every day and expect results. You'll fry yourself. That's the trap most guys fall into, thinking more is better. Nah, man. Sometimes the strongest move is knowing when to rest. So yeah, sure, we've got biceps. But women have something that's built to last. And if you ask me, that's real power. If you need to go, go. If you need to stand, stand. But don't try to sit there faking like everything's fine when your mind's halfway to another planet. See, it takes a lot to keep a woman from burning out. And when she crashes? Oh man, it's not pretty. And recovery? Forget what you know. Women recover in a completely different way than men do. You ever seen a woman crash? She doesn't bounce back with some motivational playlist and a protein shake. Nah. She collapses like a phone at 2%, face down, unmoving, unbothered. She needs 12 hours of sleep, no interruptions, no questions, no you peeking and asking, "You good?" No. She's not good. She's off the grid. And somehow, when she does finally get up, she decides spring cleaning is what she needs. Like, for her, organizing the spice rack is therapy. She's got stress up to her ears, and her cure is to rearrange the furniture and scrub baseboards like she's prepping for a visit from Martha Stewart and Jesus. Now me? I'm watching this like it's a National Geographic special. She's deep into her cleanings in, and I'm over here just trying to not get roped into holding the ladder. Women recharge by doing. And I'll never understand it. When we had a little kid running around, things got even weirder. Now I'm not here to tell you how to raise your children, but I'll say this. In families where folks are grounded and emotionally stable, the parents don't go all in on homework. Real talk. The healthiest parents I know? They guide, support, and then step back. They don't hover over math problems like it's rocket science. And let's talk about effort. I'm a firm believer that taking the first right step, even if it's slow, is better than running full speed in the wrong direction. That's wisdom for life and parenting. But back to this mystery that baffles so many women. Why do men need so much rest? Why does it look like we can sit for hours doing absolutely nothing and somehow call that productive? Because, surprise, men are wired differently. Literally. Science backs this up. There's this glorious thing inside a man's brain called the empty box. Yeah, it's real. And it's his favorite place on Earth. You ever seen a guy staring into space like a statue? That's the box. He's not mad. He's not sad. He's just blank. Blissfully blank. Sometimes that box has a screen in front of it. Could be a TV. Could be his phone. Could be a remote control in one hand and a snack in the other. Doesn't matter. That's him, back in caveman mode, watching the fire, only now the fire is Wi-Fi. Women can't grasp this. My wife. She sees me doing nothing and gets suspicious. She'll ask, "What are you thinking about?" And I'll say, "Nothing." And she looks at me like I just claimed the earth is flat. Because here's the truth. When a woman says she's thinking about nothing, you better brace yourself. She's definitely thinking about something, and you probably don't want to know what it is. But when a man says nothing, he means it. Nothing. Not a single thought. He was watching a fly do loops in the living room and thinking, dang, that fly's got moves. That's our reset button. That's how we recover. And it doesn't involve scrubbing the grout. Here's a question from me, a guy, to the ladies. And I mean this in the most sincere way possible. Why is it wrong when I say nothing? Simply because I've got nothing to say. Seriously? I sit there quiet because I don't have enough info to respond. I'm thinking, processing, waiting for something to click in my head, and suddenly, boom, you look at me like I've just committed a felony of silence. According to the tone you use, and trust me, I've heard it, I'm clearly failing some kind of communication test. But I don't get it. If I don't know the answer, I keep my mouth shut. That's not stonewalling. That's common sense. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine I'm a calculator. You punch in 7 plus, but you don't finish the equation. You just stare at me like I should magically produce an answer out of thin air. I'm over here going, okay, but what's the other number? Now you finally give me the +3. And I'm like, got it. 10, let's go. But until that moment, I'm just sitting there, buffering. Now here's where it gets interesting. When a woman speaks, sometimes she's not even giving out actual data. It's more like vibes, feelings. And I respect that. That's your flow. But if I'm gonna respond to something, I need a bit more than, it just feels off. I'm not trying to be cold. I just don't speak vague fluently. That's not my language. Look, when things get serious, like life or death serious, the male brain kicks into survival mode. Full-on caveman operating system. Adrenaline, cortisol, all that stuff starts pumping like I'm trying to outrun a bear. I've been there. Multiple times. One time, I had people in uniform chasing me. I won't say why, statute of limitations and all, but I cleared a fence that should have needed a ladder and a prayer. I ran a full kilometer like I was training for the Olympics. Didn't stop. Didn't breathe. Just pure survival mode. But here's the thing no one tells you. All those stress hormones? They don't leave your system easy. They stick. It's not like you burn through them and they politely exit stage left. No. They sit inside you like unpaid rent. And now, we're stuck in a world that feels like a constant emergency drill. Always buzzing, always urgent. Men and women both. But the kicker? We handle stress totally differently. Women came into the man's world, careers, business, competition, and all, and that's great. You're strong. We see you. But now, you're pulling us into your world of emotional depth and complexity, and my brain's out here throwing up warning signs like, does not compute. We're all tangled up. Nobody's getting time to do what their biology needs to decompress. Here's what blew my mind. Men and women have different stress relief hormones. Wild, right? For men, it's testosterone. We need to feel productive, successful, like we're winning at something. That's how we detox from stress. For women, it's oxytocin. That warm, fuzzy, we're connected and I feel safe hormone. You get that from emotional bonding, from meaningful time, affection, conversation, not necessarily action. So if you love somebody, man or woman, you've got to help them hit the right release valve. For a man, give him space to win, to accomplish, to be in his lane. For a woman, it's about connection, eye contact, affection, feeling heard, seen, and valued. That's how we clean out the junk. That's how we stop running from invisible people in uniform. So next time I go quiet, maybe I'm not hiding. Maybe I'm just waiting for that +3 to drop so I can finally finish the equation. So here's something most people don't talk about. The way men and women relax? Totally different ball games. Like, not even the same sport. Women unwind one way, men another, and trying to swap the two is like trying to fix a truck with a teacup. Let me give you a real-world example. Just today, I went to a water park. You know, one of those big ones every decent American city has. Slides, waves, those weird slow rivers where you float in a circle wondering if this is what inner peace feels like. Not saying it was the best water park I've been to, but hey, I've toured the country. Trust me, some of these places are practically spa palaces. Rostov, okay, let's say that's Detroit adjacent. But I digress. So I'm there, soaking in one of those bubbly jacuzzis. And you look around. Plenty of women just chillin', eyes closed, smiling like they're getting a hug from the universe. And that's great. They're producing oxytocin, nature's comfort blanket. Women thrive on that. That's their stress reliever. That's their body's way of saying, hey girl, you're safe now. And me? I'm in the same jacuzzi, soaking like a baked potato. And guess what? I feel good. No complaints. But stress? Still hanging out in the background like an unpaid intern. Because for men, oxytocin doesn't clean the slate. We need testosterone for that. Real stress relief, for guys, comes from challenge, risk, victory, grit your teeth and climb the hill kind of stuff. That's why we'll sit in the jacuzzi for 5 minutes, then suddenly go, you know what would be awesome? launching myself down a 60-foot water slide that might blow out my sinuses. We need that rush. That adrenaline, followed by testosterone, that's how we reset. When guys don't get that outlet, something starts breaking down under the hood. I'm talking immune system, digestion, focus, you name it. And all that leftover adrenaline and cortisol? It doesn't just disappear. It sticks around, messing with your blood sugar, messing with your sleep, poking your mood with a stick like a bored raccoon. Eventually you hit this cycle. Stress boosts cortisol, cortisol triggers insulin, insulin cranks up your appetite, appetite turns into fat, fat turns into mood swings bring more stress. Wash, rinse, repeat. Welcome to the human hamster wheel. Now, how do men try to break that cycle? Simple. We go to bars. And that, my friend, is where it gets ridiculous. You walk into a bar. Women are chilling, sipping something sparkly, laughing, sharing stories, occasionally getting a little handsy, but hey, everyone's smiling. Meanwhile, the dudes? Whole different scene. One guy's staring down another like he just insulted his grandma. Smack, smack, smack. What you looking at? 5 minutes later, they're trading punches and measuring egos. 10 minutes after that, they're hugging it out, ordering nachos, and acting like they just fought in the Revolutionary War together. Classic. That's how men relieve stress. Dumb? Maybe. Effective? Somehow, yes. Sure, there are women who rage too. Smash a few dishes, throw a good cry in there. But those ladies? That's a different breed. Witches, some might say. Me personally? Wouldn't marry one. If she shows up to date night with a black eye and calls it a good serotonin release, I'm running in the opposite direction. So here's a little tip. Before you marry someone, take him to dinner. Let him order what they want. Watch how they act with a little buzz going. Food, wine, conversation. It reveals everything. If they handle stress with grace, you've got a winner. If they start quoting crime shows or throwing dinner rolls at the waiter, run, my friend. Fast. Here's something most folks don't know, but they should. Under stress, women produce way more cortisol than men. That's not a guess, that's biology. So if she's feeling wiped, short-tempered, or like she wants to bite someone over a dirty mug in the sink, well, now you know why. Now, let's rewind to the beginning of a relationship. That spark. That game. That wild energy. A man is locked in, laser-focused like he's trying to win the Super Bowl of romance. Why? Because chasing a woman is a challenge, and challenge triggers testosterone. It's what makes him feel alive, competitive, motivated. He sees her, and suddenly his brain's lighting up like a pinball machine. Little mental fireworks going off. Flash, bang, mission accepted. So what happens next? He wins her over. They start dating. They move in together. Life settles down. And that's when the slow unravel begins. See, without new challenges, without something to conquer or achieve, his testosterone levels start to dip. He gets stressed, frustrated, a little aimless. He starts searching for something that makes him feel like a man again. Ideally, he throws himself into his work, starts building something for the family, chasing wins in his career. That's the healthy path. But let's be honest, not every guy takes that road. Some decide that climbing the ladder at home isn't worth it, and instead, they start sniffing around elsewhere, looking for easy wins. You know, trying to impress someone new without having to carry groceries or deal with sticky toddlers. Suddenly he's talking about peacock energy and masculine essence, like he read one too many self-help blogs. Really, he just doesn't want to be the bag holder at Target. Now, here's the messed up part. In the beginning of these flirtations, everybody lies. Men lie to women. Women lie to themselves. That's how the game works. Everyone's pretending they're the best version of themselves. But eventually, truth shows up in sweatpants and no makeup at 8 a.m. That's when real intimacy begins. When a woman actually sees the man for who he is. Not just who he pretended to be on those first 3 dates. And when she starts to feel safe, emotionally connected, protected, That's when her body starts firing off oxytocin like it's a Vegas jackpot. Oxytocin is the magic stuff. It brings peace, joy, healing. You want a happy woman? Get the oxytocin flowing. You want a fulfilled man? Help him tap into that testosterone. Not from fake macho posturing, but from purpose. From doing. From solving, building, leading. Now here's a fun fact. Yes, women actually do produce testosterone, just way less of it. Around 25 times less, give or take. And men? They've got a little estrogen too. It's not a glitch, it's how we stay balanced. Hormones are just your body's way of adjusting the dials. The problem is, in modern life, those dials are out of whack. We're swapping roles, sharing responsibilities, which is great, but no one's teaching us how to recharge in a way that fits our wiring. So if you're a woman looking to relax, go find oxytocin. Connection, calm, community. If you're a guy trying to shake off the stress, get some testosterone flowing. Chase a goal. Hit the gym. Win at something. Feel useful. Then come home and meet her in the middle. It's just chemistry. But when you get the formula right, man, it feels like magic. Alright, I know I might have scared you a bit back there, but let's not go full panic mode. Deep breath. Now, here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Beer is delicious. I mean dangerously so. And yes, I know someone out there is already clutching their juice cleanse like it's holy water, but hear me out. Let's talk about juice for a second. You think it's healthy, right? Fruit. Vitamins. Sunshine in a bottle. Nah. Here's the plot twist. Most juice is basically sugar soup. It spikes your blood sugar like a bottle rocket and doesn't even absorb right. So when people start giving up beer and vodka, and then they start cutting out juice like it's the real villain? Buddy, you might be fighting the wrong battle. Now I'm not telling you to trade your green smoothie for a six-pack, but let's be honest, if you're already sipping the occasional beer, giving up juice ain't gonna save your soul. What you should be doing is tapering the alcohol slowly, not treating your fridge like a chemistry experiment. Anyway, back to the real point, stress, hormones, and the great divide between testosterone and oxytocin. I sat down recently and wrote out two lists, two different worlds. One fuels testosterone, the other boosts oxytocin. These lists are basically roadmaps for how men and women are biologically wired to thrive. Let's start with the testosterone-fueled world. What boosts it? Things like setting goals, competition, solving problems, risk, danger, power, results, projects, efficiency, winning money, yes, really. Now picture a man living in that zone, chasing wins, closing deals, slaying dragons, real or metaphorical. Testosterone through the roof. That's his version of me time. But if a woman lives in that world, especially full-time, long-term, her body's stress levels go through the roof. Why? Because that world doesn't feed her the same way. Now let's look at what produces oxytocin. Connection, sharing, safety, beauty, trust, support, teamwork, compliments, loyalty, communication, clean environments. Seriously? That's not just some Instagram self-care checklist. That's biology. A woman thrives in environments where she feels things, feels seen, heard, valued. That's where she recharges. That's how she stays sane. So when she's stuck living in testosterone mode for too long, her body starts waving white flags. And here's the kicker. When the workday ends, a man, he shuts down. Boom. Brain goes dark like someone flipped a breaker. You've seen it. He's on the couch, staring at a wall, thinking about absolutely nothing. Scientists actually measure this. His brain activity drops to 20 to 30% of normal. It's real. That's his power nap with eyes open. Now ask a woman to do that? Impossible. Her brain doesn't have an off switch. She's like a Tesla running in stealth mode 24/7, silent but constantly calculating. She's thinking about the kids, the bills, the stain on the ceiling, that text message from 4 days ago, and somehow still remembering everyone's birthdays. That's why men aren't naturally wired for caretaking. It's not that we can't do it, it's just efficiency is low. You ask a guy to babysit, and the kid ends up wearing a pasta strainer for a hat, watching cartoons upside down, eating crackers off the floor. But hey, everyone survived. Barely. We've got one job as men: be men. Do the hard thing. Stay focused. Fix what's broken. Protect what matters. And women, they've got a different superpower. They absorb, process, and emotionally navigate a world men don't even see. But here's the dangerous part. When they don't have space to express what's going on inside, when they start locking away those emotions, you know what happens? They don't get better. They get creative. They invent more problems just to feel something they can release. Meanwhile, men don't invent extra drama. Why would we? We're already neck-deep in real ones. And if you lock a man in a room with no outlet, he won't dream up emotional soap operas. He'll just lose it. Quietly. Then loudly. Then permanently. So yeah, the dance between men and women? Complicated. But if you understand how each of us recharges, it makes a whole lot more sense. You ever wonder why some guys drive like they're late to their own wedding? I mean, full throttle, engine screaming, tires crying for mercy. That's not just showing off, it's biology. When a man puts the pedal down and hits that high-speed adrenaline, it fires up his testosterone like a 4th of July fireworks show. Now don't get me wrong, I've seen the wild ones too. You know the type. Zooming past at 120 miles per hour like they're being chased by ghosts. And yeah, sometimes I think, buddy, someone ought to put you in timeout in front of a jury. But deep down, I get it. That rush, that feeling of control, it fills a gap, a need. And sometimes, that need's got a name. Maybe he's lonely. Maybe he's trying to feel powerful. Maybe he just needs to remind himself he's still alive. And sure, some of those guys act like they're trying to impress the world. They rev their engines, blast fake exhaust sounds through cheap speakers, and pretend their sedan is a race car. Deep inside, it's all hormones. Testosterone doesn't ask if you're driving a Ford or a Ferrari. It just wants a reason to burn. Look, I'm not saying it's smart. I'm just saying it's real. I've studied this stuff, and it turns out, yep, men love speed. Always have. And women. Turns out many enjoy going fast too, just preferably in the passenger seat. And yeah, there are those rare ladies out there who throw on leather gloves, drop it into sport mode, and hit the gas like they've got a point to prove. But that's not what I'm talking about today. In a balanced world, it's the guy doing the driving. Not because she can't, but because she wants to relax. She wants to be cared for. And a good man? He makes her feel safe while he's behind the wheel. He's not trying to dominate traffic. He's trying to be her hero. Now picture this. You're driving down the highway with your woman next to you. You've got two missions at once. First, drive fast enough to release that good oil testosterone. But second, drive smooth enough so she doesn't spill her latte or start clutching the dashboard like she's preparing for a crash. It's a delicate dance. Go hard, but look gentle. And here's the funny part. Sometimes, she's the one tapping your arm saying, "Come on, let's go! I've got places to be." So you've got your goddess in the passenger seat, fresh from a shopping spree, urging you to hurry, but also wanting you to drive like she's made of glass. And honestly, that's kind of beautiful. It's her way of saying, care about me. Keep me safe. Be strong, but be soft too. Now here's where it gets really interesting. You try to do exactly that. Drive carefully, gently, like you're chauffeuring royalty. You're thinking, if I just go easy, she'll feel relaxed and loved. And guess what? She does. Her body starts producing oxytocin. Her stress melts away. She feels safe, connected, like she's got her protector by her side. But here's the twist. Scientists found out that the man, the one doing the slow, careful driving, was producing even more testosterone in that moment than he did when he was speeding like a maniac. Let that sink in. He didn't have to race down the highway or dodge traffic cones to feel like a man. Just by caring, really caring, for someone else, by protecting her and making her feel loved, his body responded the same way. Maybe even better. That's the secret nobody tells you. Sometimes being a real man ain't about how fast you drive. It's about who you're driving for. Man, I'll tell you what, took me long enough, but I finally cracked the code. Turns out, it doesn't matter if I'm driving solo, cruising fast, or just crawling along in traffic. If I'm behind the wheel and I'm into it, I'm producing anti-stress hormones. Actual biological relief. Who knew? I thought I just liked the feeling of driving. Turns out my body was out here doing hormone yoga the whole time. Thank God for small miracles. But now let's talk about the real puzzle piece I figured out. Why men and women talk past each other like we're using different operating systems. So here's what usually happens. After a long day, a woman comes home, and her oxytocin engine kicks on. She's stressed, and what helps her decompress? Talking, connecting, sharing. So she goes straight to her husband and starts telling him everything. She wants him to say something, anything, to show he cares. A head tilt. A thoughtful MMM. Maybe even a hug if he's feeling fancy. But here's the twist. The man? He's hearing the words, but not really listening. Not because he doesn't care, but because his brain's on a different channel. He's thinking, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? Is there a solution in here somewhere? And that's when it starts going sideways. She notices. She always notices. I mean, only a woman can look you straight in the eyes and say, all right, repeat the last sentence I just said. Game over. You ever heard a guy say that to another guy? Hey bro, repeat what I just said about my feelings. Never. It doesn't happen. In fact, if you're in a music club, or a garage, or just two guys grilling out back, there's a silent agreement. If someone stops listening, they stop talking. That's it. No tests. No quizzes. You just move on. But women, they're wired differently. She might know you're not listening, but she'll still try to connect. She's not checking a stopwatch or measuring efficiency. She wants connection. And if you're distracted? Oh, she knows. Doesn't matter if you're not even in the same room. If she calls and hears your tone shift, she knows you're also scrolling through your inbox or watching cat videos on mute. Funny thing is, it doesn't go both ways. If my wife's on her computer while we talk, she's completely unbothered. She can click, type, listen, and respond without missing a beat. Me? If I open my laptop while we're chatting, that conversation's gone. Just poof. I'll be halfway through checking email and forget what she even asked me. Why? Because we're one task at a time creatures. We're not built for multitasking. That's just not in the male owner's manual. And that, my friend, is how the chemistry of marriage works. One's talking to feel connected. The other's trying not to short circuit. But here's the good news. Once you get it, once you understand the game, you stop trying to win it and start learning how to play it together. Hormones, habits, headphones, it all makes sense once you see the pattern. So yeah, sometimes all it takes is understanding that she talks to connect, and I go silent to recharge. She needs oxytocin, I need testosterone. And somewhere in the middle of that crazy hormonal ping-pong match, we find each other. In the next video, we're diving into why a man's silence isn't rejection, and why asking him what he's thinking might just short-circuit the whole system.